Hi everyone, I'm Rose McNair and this is our channel called The Great Awakening Generator. So good to be back on the airwaves with you. And today I have a very wonderful guest. My guest is Wendy V from Wendy V Coaching. And we're going to have a good time talking to you about Wendy's work and what she has on offer to the collective. Also, at the end of it, we've got a bit of a treat for you. We're going to be doing a little bit of mindfulness. So do stay with us because I can assure you it's going to be a really good session. Okay. Welcome, Wendy.
Hi. It's so good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. It's so good to have you. And I was so glad that Felicity put us together because I thought from having our chat prior to this, that you would be ideal to have a conversation with online and tell our people in New Zealand what is available from your end to the collective. So Wendy, I was looking at your website and it's wendyv.co.nz. And I know that you'll tell us more about that. So can you give us a little bit of an introduction to you in terms of what you do, where you're from, if you're okay to say that, a little bit of history of how you come to be where you are right now?
Absolutely. Well, let's go from where I'm from originally then. So I originally come from Holland. So I was born in Europe and we came to New Zealand when I was 10. And in that process, I've been back a few times. I took my daughter back to Europe and educated her there, which is great. So she's now bilingual. And I got into the fitness industry when I was about 18. And so I started teaching in the 80s aerobics with the perm and the and everything. And it was literally 80s aerobics. So that was kind of where I started my journey. And I before that, prior to that, like really my whole life, there was always an essence of seeking. I've always been a seeker. Even as a child, I was seeking internally. There was always a knowing of more. And looking back over my whole life, there is a real essence there's a thread that I recognize now. And it's so nice when you sort of get to this stage in life and you see the thread that was there all along, which is beautiful. So so through the fitness industry, I got into, I really loved anatomy and physiology. So I really love the details, the science part of it. I love knowing the why behind things. So that was an amazing journey for me. Really love the anatomy and physiology, and I still teach anatomy as well on yoga teacher training courses. And so that was my first part of my career, was very much the physical side of things. So it was very much personal training and physical training and myself training. And then I got into yoga and philosophies and things, and yoga initially purely for the stretching at that point. And I was one of those people that couldn't stay long enough at the end for the relaxation because I was too busy. My mind was too busy. But as I always say, just keep showing up on your mat, because eventually yoga will take hold and it'll take you on its journey. And it did. I ended up, going to India and being initiated. And now yoga is the main part of what I share. And so over the period of time, and also with the clients that I naturally attract, it's taken me about 32 years to really hone my craft. And now that has really come down to what I call youngering. And there are pillars to that. There is the physical, there is the mental, and then there is the spiritual. And that is kind of how I've been able to share my offerings. And it's really where I come from. And I think it's a really helpful model for not just people who are only looking to be aware of youngering. And really, it's anybody over 40, because after 40, physically things start to have an effect, and we can do things about it then. So yeah, that's kind of where I am and where I've been.
Okay. So you have or used to have a yoga studio in Auckland, right? And so you've moved from Auckland out, to another town. And so most of your work is done from home at this point?
Yes. So, like everybody else during the whole lockdowns and everything else, a lot of the business went online. And I was doing quite a bit online anyway through Zoom, because I would have clients who traveled and then they would just still attend some sessions. But people were a bit reluctant. However, once that was a non-negotiable, people got used to it. So it was actually an opportunity for me. The business in Auckland became a little bit more challenging to run, running a whole overheads and everything else. And I was going backwards and forwards to Mount Maunganui. And so I moved here and took the business predominantly online. And I do a bit of a combination, but it's very, very, very effective. We're so lucky with the technology and everything now.
We are. And not to digress or anything like that, but when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, I was quite impressed when you said that to me, because a lot of people had to get used to the idea of doing fitness online. And I know, clearly you've been doing it prior to the pandemic and lockdowns. And I was thinking about it afterwards, and I thought, I'm really for want of a better word, impressed with the idea that you have withstood the test of time, and despite whatever was going on, you managed to keep going. And it shows a real level of confidence that your clients have in you, and that's really good. It's nice to know that people didn't all go bust at the time. If you're a small business, or if you're a sole trader, that some people manage to keep everything flowing. Probably you obviously had your challenges and all of that. It can't have been completely smooth running, but you managed to do that, and that is really motivating.
I think what's really amazing about that is, first of all, I have been established in the industry for a long time, so I had really strong relationships with the clients I had. Some of the classes definitely fell away when people were going back into studios and they didn't want to do the online anymore. But the one-on-ones has been super successful. And I think where I'm also quite lucky is because of the time I've been in the industry, I've got a really good eye for the movement of the body. So I am able to really see what people are doing. So they're still getting that very thorough personal attention. And I think that's been, a bit of a godsend, really, that timing wise, that I have been able to do that. And like you say, I'm really grateful for the relationship I have with clients, and that they did stick with me, and it's worked for them. A lot of them traveling now, and I just go with them.
Wow, that's awesome. There is nothing for me. I've done the gym, I've gone to yoga classes, like in a group class and all of that. But I've had now, for the last 5 years, I have a personal trainer who works from home like you do. And I go to her. And through the pandemic, I did Zoom fitness training sessions with her. She was not used to that because she hadn't done that before. But it started to build her confidence with how she can offer this to anybody who was feeling uncomfortable to go to her studio. I didn't go to it because, I was not allowed to go to it because I didn't have a specific passport. But she was happy to accommodate me, and I was so grateful for that. But I'm going to say there is something very beneficial to have someone like you working with an individual, because I know that my fitness trainer, she looks after me and understands my body and what my needs are, and tailors my training and anything I need to do to that, to the way my body is. And it's very beneficial for somebody who might have specific conditions or chronic illnesses to be able to come to someone like you, right? Because you are going to tailor it. You understand the body, you understand the fitness, and you're going to tailor it to that person's needs.
Well, what's fantastic is that, because of the variety that I have in my toolbox, it is really handy to be able to go, okay, what do we need today? And that is really how we work. And that's why a lot of the people, I get them to sign up for a longer time. And most people do. And some have been with me for years anyway, but we make the commitment long-term because it is a transformation. And I had a client who had to go through a cancer treatment and everything. So she had to be really isolated from people, and we didn't miss a beat. And what was great is I could really work with wherever she was at in her treatment. So sometimes we just did meditation or breathing or yoga nidra. sometimes some emotional stuff came up for her and we would work on that. And other times when she was getting stronger, we built her back up again and got her physical body back up again. So it really is just a matter of, okay, it's very tailored to where you're at in your life, in your day, you know, day to day as well. And especially building that relationship of trust to be able to understand the person so you know exactly what they need.
Great. So please, before we go to the next question about who comes to you and how they can get benefit from it, can you tell us, I know you have offerings on your website. Can you say, for the benefit of our audience, what the offerings are? And if you feel like you want to give us a brief explanation of it, then please feel free to do that.
Yeah, so in the website, there are some offerings. So there is Youngering, which is the focus of the three main pillars. But I also focus on specifically meditation. So I also facilitate meditation classes, and a lot of my meditation practices are based around quantum understanding and more energy focused meditation. So even though I also include mindfulness meditations, most of my meditations that I facilitate are more active meditations, and they're more sort of energy focused, which is really helpful for people who are a little bit more active and who are challenged with sort of very still meditations. And then also obviously yoga, and through that I also have an online platform with pre-recorded classes that people can do in their own time, so on-demand classes as well as meditation. And then I have a real simple app as well, which is called the Morning Routine. And it's a nice, simple thing that people can download. It's actually free to download. And it's just got basic spinal mobility, some sun salutes, and some meditation. And it's just, yeah, so that's really how people are engaging with my offerings. And obviously, it's either classes, workshops, retreats, or mainly one-on-one coaching.
Okay, wow. You really live the yoga life, don't you?
I do, yeah. It is really, it's interesting because I took a long time to truly feel and take ownership of where I am and who I am, because I come from the fitness background and I love getting my nails done, and I love some sort of those, which you'd call maybe superficial things. And I love that. And so as my internal journey has always been very deep and spiritual, and so especially through the yoga journey, I felt a little bit torn between like, well, where am I walking, you know? And I have really come to a place where, well, I am walking exactly where I'm meant to be, which is in the path in the middle, you know, and that way I am able to relate to the clients that tend to come to me, and also be a bridge to a deeper journey of spirituality that people may not have walked towards if I wouldn't be where I am, you know, in that path. So
great. So not what kind, who comes to you? Like, who can come to you?
Yeah, what's interesting, because obviously
issues?
anybody,
Yes.
because what I do is one of the bylines that I have on my website is evolving human potential. And so what that means is, like, anybody who is evolving and how they want to really evolve their own potential. Well, that could be anybody. However, I tend to really resonate with probably generally people who are a little bit more analytical, people who are a bit more the thinkers, people who are a bit more active in their approach to life. I wouldn't say, like, you know, I don't like to type anybody, but, you know, people say A-type, you know, and I generally tend to have people who have often people over 40, probably more around that 50, 60 mark.
Okay.
It tends to be, I'm not saying that's my, but that tends to be the people that resonate with what I do. Probably also because I have an understanding of how we can adapt everything, no matter what, where you're at. If you've got hormonal issues going on, if you've got injuries, if you're inactive, if you're super active, if you play sports, if you know, and so I can always adapt everything. Plus, these are people that are in a phase in their life that they are searching for that little voice that they've always known is there, and they really want to explore their higher self, their deeper self, the more energetic and spiritual components in a very grounded and practical way. And that tends to be, those people tend to be that resonate most with where I'm at and what I offer.
So are there people that are in high power, high energy jobs, stressful jobs,
Yeah, it tends
high
to
powered?
be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it tends to be people who are kind of really out there or have been. I've got a couple of really, really great clients who sort of the entrepreneur CEO, you know, the person who is kind of really in that creative, expansive, and what is also why this category, for my age category, is something that really benefits from this, is that they are in a phase in their life where they want to keep that momentum going. They want to keep being that person that they are, and that creativity, and that living that life and challenging themselves in business or whatever. However, they're at that stage where maybe either age is a question on, can I keep this up, or physically they're starting to notice it, or you know, emotionally there or energetically there are changes as we get older, and we have to actually tune into our spiritual and energetic path in order to keep expanding and living fully. So I think that I am able to speak their language easy, and to actually help them go, okay, well, next phase of your life, the sort of 50, 60, 70, 80, can still be a very dynamic and exciting time. However, you have to address all of these pillars. You know, you
The little
have to look
voice.
after the body. You have to consolidate what's going on in the mind, and you have to understand that you have and that you are an energetic being. You know.
Yeah. It's the little voice saying, come this way, let's
That's it.
balance, let's align.
And they've
It's time to
listened
do
to
it.
it. They haven't listened to it for a long time, and now the
That's
voice
right.
is not being so quiet anymore.
No, because when the voice is not being so quiet, the voice is not being so quiet when it starts to manifest, when the
That's it.
manifestation of illness or
Exactly.
stress-related issues, trauma,
Anxiety,
all
lack
of
of
that.
sleep, all those things. Exactly. Yeah.
That's it. That's the voice calling. So if I was to come to you, so this is what I wanted to I explained earlier that I would like to ask you to explain to us. What does a typical session with you look like? You know, if I had to come to you and I said, hey, you know what, Wendy, I'm just really stressed out, and I need to start something where I'm looking after myself. I know that I'm really busy at work, but I need to make time for myself, and I need to make sure that I give myself that time, because if I leave it up to me, it's not going to happen. So I need someone's help, and you look like the person who could help me. What would the process be of how? I know we'd have a consultation and you'd do the assessment, but how will the program be for me? So if you tell us
So
about that.
I am not rigid in programs. So it's not like, right, I've written out our 6-week or 3-week program, because personally, you are constantly evolving. And so how do I know who you are in 6 weeks from now? So how can I program you today for 6 weeks from now? That's impossible personally. So I don't do it that way. But what I do is there are some fundamental aspects that are important to address. So yes, we have a consultation, and the consultation is initially physical. We have a look at where are you at physically, what's going on as far as, say, posturally, and it's surprising how much just even a postural assessment tells me about your mental state and your emotional state. There's so much going on there, and then what I do is I really lay down some of the foundations physically. So having an understanding of how the body moves, how some of the fundamental movements are, how we can come into a balanced state. Why are we not in a balanced state? What direction do we need to go to get you into a balanced state? So the first few sessions are very much more of a physical focus. And because also I feel like understanding, like, if you have got any sort of stresses and mindset things that are getting in the way, if you have vitality, if you've got energy, if you haven't, sometimes you may have inflammation in the body. Sometimes you may have your gut biome is out. Sometimes it might be that you are like eating a diet that you've been eating for years, but your body's changed and you need to change your diet. So sometimes those changes already release anxiety, release those feelings, because the mind is sometimes responding to the body. So once we've got the body going, okay, we've got the body in fairly close balance, then we look at what mindset things are now really to work on. So we don't necessarily go, now we're working on mindset, now we're working on spirituality, but we go in that direction and we thread that through as we go. And as I said before, we see, like when you come to a session, I always find out, where are you at? Where are you at? And then some sessions are very physically focused, because we need to focus on getting you stronger. We need to focus on working on that little niggle injury, or we need to focus on mobility. And sometimes we do a little bit of that, but most of our focus is on mindset. So we're working with something that has arisen, and that's perfect. We've got this thing. It's right here, right now. So let's work on it right now. And sometimes it's more meditation, spirituality, energetic, but that kind of weaves through. And like I said, I can't plan and say, well, on week 6, we're going to focus on spirituality. It's just, it'll weave through. But the first few are very much laying down the foundations. Don't know if that makes it any clearer for you.
That is the best answer that you could have given me. And you're not going through a test, but I just feel like I would resonate really well with somebody who said, I'm not going to give you a program at this point, because I feel like we will take the journey together, and that will evolve based on your progress. And so that's really good, because it's like if you did a program for somebody, because of the work you're doing, not everyone's going to fit in the same program. If you're going to have this one standard program, not everybody's going to fit in that program, but it's underlying, you've got a process that you follow, and the process is not to set anything in stone, but to take the journey. And that's really it's very important, and it says a lot about the work you're doing, because it says, well, it's actually saying we go with the flow, and we trust our instincts, and we trust the progress to guide us as to where we need to go to next. So I really love that. It's quite an interesting thing you're doing, right? This esoteric with the fitness. I mean, I've heard of it.
I'm really, that's why where I found now the youngering has given me an opportunity to go, okay, actually I do everything I've done. And every year in the last 32 years, there hasn't been one year that I haven't added on a qualification or a course or, another sort of thing. Because there is so much to learn in so many areas. If you think about physically, there are 101 things I could learn. And then if there is mentally and mindset and coaching, and then there is spirituality, I mean, I need 5 more lifetimes to actually really, integrate all this stuff. So because of that, it's always been hard, like you say, when you look at marketing, people have join my program and in 6 weeks you will cover blah, blah, blah. And I find I've never been able to do that, because it's like, well, we'll see where we go. And so being able to have the youngering is like, yes, we are going to do body, we're going to do mind, and we're going to do spirit. How that's going to look is totally up to you and how you show up to me. And luckily that toolkit that I have, I drag around with me all the time. And every time I'm like, okay, what do we need out of the toolkit today? And that's kind of, so it is a bit of a co-creation, because it really is like, when you show up, it's like, okay, what are your needs today?
Yes.
And then there is an element of, and that's a really important aspect as far as, like I said before, evolving potential. That's the concept. Let's evolve you. Let's continuing to help you to really discover what you are and who you are and what the full potential is of your life expression. And that requires input and commitment from you, from the person who's coming to see me. Because I offer many, many tools, and it can sometimes turn out to be a bit of a plaster. Oh, I'm not feeling great. I've got this. I didn't sleep well. My diet's not that great. Then we do a bit of a fix-up session. Oh, I feel so much better. I'm way better now. And then the next week we're back there again. So it is about implementing the tools and going, okay, I want these changes. And as far as the changes go, for me, I always encourage just nudging the needle. I don't go like, okay, we're going to do a fast and you're going to go and train 5 times a week and you're going to do this and now we're going to do that and you're going to meditate, because we're all really busy. So I offer snippets and little drops and everything, like do 10 minutes of that and 5 minutes of this and do a little bit of that, and just, did you nudge the needle this week? Did you nudge the needle today? And by nudging the needle, it's not a painful and exhaustive process. However, you wake up one day and go, wow, I'm a completely different person. And that's really the outcome we're looking for.
This is the thing. I think when you do programs like that, you have, well, not programs because you're not really doing a program, but you're doing an assessment for someone. It's got to be fun, right? Because it's got to be something that people start to look forward to doing. Because when you do these things of, oh, you can do it in 6 weeks, you almost right away imagine there's going to be a lot of hard graft for that. And you're like,
and you go, okay, only 3 more weeks to go. Like what? That's terrible. Because then what happens at the end of the 3 weeks? Like at the end of 6 weeks, you go back to where you were 6 weeks ago, because it's like, so what's the point?
It's not really looking at the individual when you start to put people in a box that way. And I feel so what you're offering is awesome. It's a great thing, because it's saying, you know what, you're looking at me as the individual. You are assessing me according to my needs, my experience, my life, and you're finding some solutions for me that respond to me, because I'm the only one who has this life.
And I can't guarantee what the outcome's going to be. So I can't guarantee to say, look, I know that in 6 weeks' time, what I can say, if we keep nudging the needle in 6 weeks' time, you won't be where you are today. But I can't say, well, you would have lost 5 kilos and you'll do this and this. I won't. Who knows? You will be in a better place. What that looks like, I don't know.
Yeah, indeed.
That's it.
So, Wendy, there was a question that popped into my head, and it'll probably come back in, and then I'll ask you about it. So, here we are. This is it. I wrote it down. You have retreats and workshops on your website. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, I love my retreats and workshops. So workshops, I do some corporate workshops and wellness, and I do, other workshops as well. But the retreats are probably one of my favorite things, partly because we've run some really awesome retreats, like in Bali and in Queenstown and nice places like that, beautiful locations. But what I really love is just getting people out of their life. I do a lot of work with Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and it's that whole breaking the habit of being yourself, that whole idea of like being away from what reminds you of who you are. And, when we wake up in the morning, we open our eyes and we remind ourselves of all the things that we are. Well, when you go to a retreat, you are taking the time. It's always beautiful. Like quite often they're just 3 or 4 day retreats. So people arrive on Friday and they're exhausted, and we do this yin session or restorative session, and they're exhausted and they're just about falling asleep. But it's such a nice way to be able to nurture people. And then you feed them beautiful food. And by the next day already, they're already starting to shift. We do a lot of workshops around mindset. So often there's yoga to start with, and then we come back and we do a mindset session on whatever the theme the retreat is. We do some yoga nidra. There's beautiful food. It's always in beautiful locations, so they have time in nature. We do all sorts of sessions, like some of them are dance. We do breath work. There is more meditation practices. Sometimes there's more fitnessy stuff. I also do some biohacking retreats, which have got some challenges in it, like ice baths and things like that. And we educate. Like a lot of my work is around education. So because if we know why we're doing things, it's much easier to be bothered doing it, when we know why we're doing it. And that's where education comes in the retreats as well. So what I love too is that we have the time to build on a session. Okay, we've had this beautiful yoga session. Like say if you go to a studio, you have a beautiful yoga session at the end, you're so blissed out. And then it's like, okay, guys, I've got to go because the next class is coming. Okay, bye. Throw you back out into the world. Whereas at a retreat, what I love most is we have the session, everybody's lying down, they're completely blissed out, and I just tiptoe out of the room and they can just hang out there for as long as they like. And when they come out,
Nice.
there's breakfast or there's lunch, and then they can loll around and talk, and there's community, and there's no phones, and it's just such a great thing. And it truly is massively transformational. The hardest part about a retreat is getting people there, because it's hard to get people out of their life, oh, I haven't got time and I'll go to the next one. But once they go, it's so transformative. It's wonderful.
Your retreats sound awesome.
Yeah. I always say it's sort of like a yoga / Tony Robbins retreat. It's somewhere in between. There's a bit of rah-rah and mindset, but it's all blissed out at the same time.
So people that go to the retreat, will they have had to come to you for fitness and that prior to the retreat, or prior to going through?
No. I mean, we do have a lot of people who know our work, like I have a friend that I often run some retreats with. But no, I mean, especially the Bali retreat, it's international. So we've had people come from all over,
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who it
awesome.
is.
Wonderful. So I've asked you, besides this last question, the one that I'm quite fascinated with, I've asked you about, before we get to it, I've asked you about everything that we were going to talk about. Is there anything else you want to tell our audience before we go to that beautiful question I have? Because I think the answer is beautiful, so I'm thinking of it as beautiful.
Right.
And then we do a bit of meditation or mindfulness for a few minutes.
Sure.
Tell me, is there anything else that you want to tell us that I didn't ask you that you think our audience should know?
I don't think in particular. I hope it came across anyway, but I really do believe that we're in a beautiful time to there is the squeezing going on, and the squeezing can be a real opportunity. As people know in their individual lives, it's often when they get pushed into a corner or something like that, that they turn around and stop looking outside and they look inside, and then they go, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. And so we are globally in an opportunity to go, I think there's enough of a squeeze, so let's stop looking outside. And one way to re-empower ourselves and take ownership of our own lives individually, regardless of where you are in your life and what your life looks like, is to use these sort of pillars, like get your physically well, get your health well, get your mind clear, and understand that you are energy and spirit. And so once you get all those pillars sorted out, then you have much more resilience to go out and make a change in this world that needs desperately changing.
Wow, that was very well said. I love it. That's awesome. That was such good advice, such a good thing to say to the collective. And I think more and more people are awakening to what you said. Some people are taking longer, but this is why we're saying what we're saying, because we have come to the realization that this is probably what we need to work on. Because if you go within and work with what's going on within you, that automatically filters out to the wider community around you.
Well, imagine if every single one of us took responsibility for ourselves and took, that for your own health, for your own mindset, for your own energetic blueprint. So imagine if we all did that. Well, then, considering the whole global as cells in an embodiment, well, it's every single cell is healthy, then the embodiment is healthy. Yes. So, right now we've got quite a few cancerous cells around, so we kind of, so that's ideally that's, we're just spreading the good word and hoping all that it sort of takes hold and becomes contagious.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And, I've just loved talking to you. You've got such a lot of wisdom and such a lot of information. And I love the way you think, because I think it's the kind of thinking we will benefit from a lot in the future, going forward into the world we create, because we are now creating a better world for ourselves. I believe that. And whilst it might not look like that outwardly, it depends on where you're looking from. I think, to realize, you know what, this is a great time to be alive. a lot is happening. We came for this. Let's do our part, you know.
That's it. And,
it.
you know, just quickly, I mean, I listened to a really interesting thing around yoga and around the cycles that we all do. And this is a cycle that we are naturally in, which is the Kali Yuga cycle, which is destruction. And when we look back at previous civilizations, all these civilizations in the past have ended. There's been an end to these civilizations, and we're at the end of this civilization. So it's just a given. We are at the end. We don't know what that means. We don't know if it means that the civilization, the human beings that we are continue, but in a different form of civilization, or whether it literally is an end. Either way, if there is an end, we want to be at peace and at joy within ourselves. And if there's a new beginning, we want to be prepared. So either way, this work is vital right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the interesting part that I was quite fascinated with, earlier we were talking about the website address, and then you told me about the old website, and it had the word Sankalpananda in it. But I'm going to say all the words that you told me, and then I'm going to ask my question. So Swami Sankalpananada Saraswati. That is your name, as in from the yoga perspective.
That's it.
Now, I love this because I've heard other people of European descent take on a Sanskrit name, right? And I know that you mentioned initiation. Can you tell us what this is about, please? How do you go from Wendy Vermeulen to this beautiful name? Not that Wendy Vermeulen isn't a beautiful name. It's a very beautiful name, but tell me about it.
Very much. And it's so funny because as you say the name, as you said the name, I literally feel warm and butterflies, and it feels like I'm in love when you hear that, when I hear that said. And I think what it is that, and this is why I still use Wendy as a name as well, because one thing that's very powerful about renaming and being given a name in a yogic or spiritual practice is that the name has a meaning and an intention, and everything is vibration. And as we know, sound is a resonance, and words are very, very, very powerful. And words have a resonance. So when we do say our birth name, there is a resonance to that time, to that lineage, like my Dutch heritage, my family, everything else. There is a resonance that is associated to that. And I can take ownership of that, and I honor that. There is also resonance to my yogic name, and it's almost like a rebirth to some degree. And so the yogic path, as I kind of went on my yogic path more and more, and as I said, it kind of takes hold and it grows from the inside out. And before you know it, you're a yogi and you're living your life that way. And there was a period in time when I felt very ready to take a deeper commitment. And the name Sankalpananada means the sacred commitment to the path of bliss. And my teacher that initiated me tunes into my path. And so that is how the name gets sort of found to them, you know. And then you get in a ceremony, you get shared the name in a really beautiful, powerful way. And I really felt the resonance of it deep within me. And so when we in our yogic path, people use the name, they refer to you as Sankalpananda, there is a encouragement, there is a recommitment to that journey for you. So when somebody uses that name, it reinstigates or it reconfirms my path in my yogic lineage. And so it's really, some people, I know some of my friends only use that name now, their yogic name. I don't always, just because of the way I work.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's a resonance, and it's very powerful and very, very, the name itself is almost my spiritual path, you know, the name and the resonance of that is my spiritual path. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's about a pathway. It's about a journey, not about a characteristic.
Oh, no,
it's more about a journey.
No, that's
right?
well said. Exactly. Yeah, no, it's not an identity.
No.
It's not an identity, it's a resonance.
Yeah.
And it's an embodiment of a resonance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that this name comes from other lifetimes? Is there something that is that brings it through the path from the past lives, the Akashic records or anything like that? Do you think?
It's actually beautiful you say that. I hadn't really kind of referred to it that way, but as you said that, I became very calm and very still. And so that's a beautiful thing. So possibly that has got lineage there. Yeah, maybe there is some past life meaning, or at the very least resonance there. Definitely.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel a little bit tearful when you say that, and I'm not sure why, but
Well, exactly. Well, it's a knowing, isn't it? And this is what
yeah,
I mean so much. And I try and lead even my high-end CEO clients. The beautiful thing is leading them to this knowing, because it doesn't matter who you are and what you're doing in life and what your title is. You have an essence, in the forever lifetimes, you've been everything. So right now, yeah, you're a CEO, or whatever, and you're living this high-end business life, whatever, but that essence has got nothing to do with that. And you could be even a more powerful influence in your position by remembering who you truly are and not getting carried away and living. Because when you think about it, the role of CEO is tiny compared to the infinite soul.
that's right. That's
So if
right.
you are the infinite soul being a CEO, you are a powerful CEO. If you're just a
Yes.
CEO without awareness of the infinite self, like, you're missing some of it. You're leaving stuff on the table.
Exactly. So I want to say to you, when we were through this conversation that we've been having, I really, I feel like you're, and I'm not an authority, and I got this as we were speaking. I just felt these words coming into my energy space. There's a lot, because of the work you're doing now, and how you're contributing to whatever's going on in this time, because of your attitude, because of your stance and how it's going. I feel very much like in the past lives, you would have been in the temples, you would have been in the, high priestess, you would have been a guru, you've been teaching other people. And you, in this lifetime, you've come to do this here, but you're doing it for this time and space. That's just my words to you, what my instincts are telling, my intuition is telling me about you. I'm sure you've heard this before. I'm sure somebody has said this to you before, but
well, what I love what you said there is that the time and space, that I'm in this time and space, and it makes a lot of sense why I am in this version of myself and in this position in work and everything else, because I keep saying I'm in the right place. I know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I always say I'm a Swami in disguise.
You are. And so, and Swami means God in the Tamil language.
Oh, wow.
Because my family is Tamil speaking. And although I'm South African, but my ancestors come from South India. Swami means God, it means Lord, it means, if you change the gender, then it's goddess, it's all of that.
Right. Okay.
And so there's a lot of goddesses here in this time, on the planet at this time, and I'm meeting a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so well, Swami, because when you said Swami earlier, I thought, oh, that means, that's how we knew that Swami is God, somebody who's high priestess, whatever that means, but it's not an ordinary person. A Swami is not an ordinary person. But I want to say this to you. Thank you so much for your time. We will let you do anything you feel led to do very shortly. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for coming in this time and space and doing the work to be where you are and living your purpose for the greater purpose of this planet and for the collective, because more and more of you is going to be needed, more and more of what you offer. And I just know that it's going to be great. I loved having this chat. There's so much of eloquence, and I love how you know what you know and how it comes through so freely and so wonderfully flowing. So much thanks to you. It's just like amazing.
Thank you. Oh, absolutely beautiful. I loved it. And like you said, we could chat for hours.
We could. There's a lot of things we could say.
Fantastic.
So I'll hand it over to you now. If you want to do something,
Yeah.
feel free.
One of my favorite practices that I think is a really powerful shift. It's just a breath, really, and it just is a really good way for us to kind of pull everything in and to channel our energy. So I'll just guide us through. So we'll just sit with if you're sitting on a chair with the feet on the ground, maybe the hands on the thighs, or however's comfortable with the hands. Turned up is quite nice. And then we just lengthen the spine for a moment, sitting tall and closing the eyes. So as we close the eyes, just begin to be aware of the breath. And just start to focus for a moment or two, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing the face. Take a breath in, and on your next exhale, imagine that there is just a warm flow of water trickling down your head, your face, down your shoulders and arms, down your chest, down your abdomen, down the legs, down to the feet, and then feel nice and grounded through the feet. Become aware of your natural flow of breath and breathe in and out through the nose. And then take the focus internally. So with your mind's eye, take the focus to your spine and think of that spinal column, that whole column through the center of your body. And imagine that there is a pathway running through the center of that column. And as you take your next inhale, begin to follow that pathway from the tailbone up through the column, all the way to the top of the spine, which actually ends between the ears, not at the crown of the head. And then exhale, follow that column, that pathway down the center of the spine, back down. So inhale from the base of the spine, following that pathway gently up through the center of the spine to the center of the head. And then exhale down. Now, those of you who are familiar with more of a yogic breath, you can bring in the ujjayi breath, that slight constriction of the breath at the throat, hearing and feeling the vibration. And as you inhale up through the spine, lightly lift through the pelvic floor, so the base lock, and then feel and encourage that energy and that breath flow up through the spine, all the way up to that point, the center of the head. Hold it for a second. Try pressing your tongue to the top of your mouth and stretching your spine. And then as you exhale, release and take the focus back down to the base of the spine, relaxing everything. We're going to do a few more like this. So we take a breath in, we squeeze the pelvic floor, so we lock up through the base. You can use the ujjayi breath coming all the way up. Press your tongue to the top of the mouth, stretch your spine, hold it here. Exhale, follow it back down. Now, imagine you're gathering any energy, any sort of frenetic energy, or even if there is a density in the body that you want to shift your state. Imagine that you're gathering that and you're pulling it into that center channel and inhaling, pull that energy up through that center channel. Press the tongue, extend the spine. Imagine that energy building up. Now feel as though you're looking at that point at the center of your head. And as you exhale, exhale the energy into the center of the head. And we're going to do that a few more times. We're going to start at the base, squeeze the base lock, inhale, follow that energy up, drawing up that energy up through that center channel. Press the tongue, extend the spine, hold. Looking at the inside of your head, the center of your head. And as you exhale, radiate that energy outwards. And this is the last one now. We're going to come back down to the base, squeeze, inhale, up, 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 pull, 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 lift, lift, lift. Press the tongue and hold. Exhale, radiating into the center of the head. Now breathe naturally and keep your focus for a moment at the center of the head, as if you're rolling your eyes, your physical eyes, to look at the center of your head, as if you're looking at the top of your spine between your ears. And then as if you are in that location. So move your awareness there, that point between your ears at the center of your head. Imagine that you are there just for a few moments. Now hold your focus there, and anything that distracts you from here, just let it pass by. And for the next few seconds, stay here and just be here. Nowhere else, nothing else, just here. Before we leave here, maybe be aware of an intention, a focus, a mindset, a mood, a feeling that you want to embody as you move from this moment. It might be a word, might be an affirmation, might just be a feeling. This is your opportunity to shift from maybe a state that wasn't serving you to a state that feels more uplifting. Just imagine train tracks, and you're shifting tracks to a place you want to go. Vitality, joyfulness, harmony, gratitude. And embody it, feel it throughout your whole being, claim it. It is so. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. Short and sweet, but enough to change our state, hopefully.
Wow.
Thank you so much for this time. It was so beautiful talking to you. You're a beautiful being and you're doing wonderful things. This is a great initiative, and I'm so grateful that I got to contribute.
Thank you, Wendy. That's thank you so much. That was amazing, because that is it was, like you say, it was short, but it was pretty effective. Started to see turquoise and gold colors at the end.
Gorgeous. Yeah, sorry to get you out of there. I've been, what I prefer to do is just leave you there now. Okay, bye.
But I tell you, I'm sure that it's not gone, because I've noticed when I do this with anybody on air, they it kind of stays. It doesn't just go away. So interesting things will happen after this. So I'm conscious of time. Thank you very much. And please remind us again where people can get in touch with you before we say goodbye.
So my email is info@wendyv.co.nz. The website is wendyv.co.nz. Make sure it's not wendy.co.nz, because you get the burger bar. And I also have an Instagram, evolvenz, which is my previous handle, and Pranabar NZ, which is my previous studio space. So those are my Instagram, where I'm a bit more active rather than other mediums.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And I will talk to you on the other side of this. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And please feel free to come back again. I'm going to have to say it. I can't not say it. I'm going to have to say namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.